welcome to Work the Left Side. I am hyper hyped to announce tonight's guest. I am joined by the awesomeness that is Robbie from RockSolid Media. Generally, we had the pleasure of meeting face to face. Well, I ventured up to Newcastle. Yeah, I've been wanting to do this episode for a while. So, dude, thank you. And how are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, thanks. I'm doing a lot better than since the last time because we obviously had to put this on the back burner just for a little bit because I wasn't too well at the time. But
Yeah.
no, I'm happy to be here, ready to rock and roll. Thanks for having us.
No, amazing. It was a pleasure. Like I was saying before, off camera kind of thing. I like to. I always think of wrestling as like, it's a show with many moving parts. I talk to refs, I talk to photographers, I'm talking to people like yourself and the guys that record it, edit it, and production side of stuff. So yeah, man, I'm always interested to kind of get every aspect of how it all works. So, and I know like when you're recording, man, there's so much that kind of goes into it. It's not just a case of you're not just stood there with the camera. Like, so I'm imagining the '90s massive freaking camera. Um,
Uh,
but there's things to be done, man. Like there's moments to be captured, and yeah, I'm always intrigued as to what the process is.
hmm I mean, I think from like an early age, I've always been like into like videography and photography as well. Um, it pretty much all started like with my granddad. He had like a camcorder, and to me as a kid, being able to like record like those memories, it just something clicked with us. That you could like record what's happening and then watch it back later. And it was also because my granddad he got me into wrestling. Early WWF
Ah,
into 1990. My first wrestling show that I ever watched was WrestleMania 7. And then you would watch like the shows on Sky One and Eurosport and Sky Movies and that sort of thing. And for years, I would play around like with this camcorder, get used to it, and it always fascinated us. And as I've gotten older, it's never left us. I've always had like this fascination with like videography and wanting to like capture like those moments. Um, and when you see it happening like with the wrestling, it's like I wanted to do that as well. Um, and as I got older, I started training like to be a wrestler myself. As every kid, like in the early 2000s, we used to backyard, because we didn't have anywhere where to do it properly, so we just kind of
yeah,
like did it ourselves. We tried to make it safe ourselves. We even got like a gym at one point and we rented it out with the mats just so that we weren't breaking our bodies. And what we would
yeah,
also used to do is we used to ask like everyone in a little circle, have you got a camcorder? Have you got a camcorder? So I borrowed my granddad's a couple of times. My girlfriend at the time, I borrowed hers. And we would all like watch it back and just laugh at all like the shenanigans that we would get up to. And it was a right laugh. And then yeah, you just want to do more with this, because
yeah,
you just have like the one single camera, and then as you're watching like these other shows, they have different angles. The more than just the one camera, and it's not like run and gun; it's a more professional feel, and that's
yeah,
what I always wanted to create. I wanted to do that myself, because I'll admit, like for the longest time, I would watch like some wrestling shows back, like on YouTube, especially during like the early days of YouTube. I'm starting to show my age here, I think, and you would watch the shows and you would think this is all right, but the shots unsteady. They're not capturing like the right angles. Yeah, it's either it's too zoomed in, it's too zoomed out.
yeah,
One of my pet peeves was always recording the back of a wrestler. Like, who wants to see the back of a wrestler? You know what I mean? Um, so yeah, it got to a point around like 2019, just before the pandemic, like a year before COVID hit, where I really wanted to do something with this. Now I'll admit at the time I was in like a bit of a low point in my life. I do suffer with like depression and anxiety, and I was going through like a bit of a rough period. And I say to myself, I've got to get out of this, barely getting out the house.
yeah,
My only like real comfort at the time was obviously talking to my mates and talking about wrestling and what was going on, and how, you know, some things were a little bit boring, and I wanted to get out there and just try something different. So
Yeah.
what happened with me is I got in touch with a lad who I used to help train back in the day. And long story short, got in touch with him. I says, look, I'm in a bit of a hole here right now, and I want to get out of it. And I've seen what you guys are doing with Shield Pro Wrestling. They had their own setup. They had like a 2-camera, maybe sometimes 3-camera setup. And it had potential. And I was like, this is cool. You know what? I'm not really seeing anything like this like around my area, other than WCPW, who were running at the time. And so I asked them, look, I want to get out this hole here. I've got a camera myself. It's a DSLR camera. It's not the best, but it can give you a extra angle, and I want to be behind that camera, monitor it, move it, and keep track of the action. And I say to them, look, I'll do this for free if you just let me record the show. I'll keep the footage. I'll give you a copy. Do what you want with the footage, put it out on YouTube and that sort of thing. And he was like, yeah, happy to have you on. So that's how I got started in doing like the videography. It's thanks to Shield Pro Wrestling, where they gave me that chance to do this. So I was doing that for pretty much like a full year, doing one show every month, and it was class. Obviously what stopped it was the pandemic. My last show like with them was with like Shield Wars, and that was probably in the February time, and then the pandemic hit and couldn't do it like for a while. So I'm sat there with like this camera, this 4K camera that I invested in, doing nothing. So yeah, that's pretty much like my start in getting into it, and then it develops over time where I get a message from Prime Wrestling. So I originally started speaking to a guy called Paulie C. I don't know if you've heard of him before. No, but anyways, he was known in our local area as the Chava Paulie C. Larger than life character, honestly. He played like the Chava gimmick like to an absolute T, especially when he was heel. And then when he was face, he's just over the top. Like you can't help but just like smile at his antics and that sort of thing. So he got in contact with us, and then I also got to speak to like the other members of the Prime Wrestling team. So like I spoke to Chris, and I spoke to Nick as well. Those three pretty much got me like my first paid gig. They saw my stuff with Shield Pro Wrestling and asked me to come along to start filming for Prime as soon as the restrictions were lifted. So I was like, hell yeah, I'm up for this, because they had big plans, that they wanted to like, take it to the next level. And I was like, mate, if you want me on board, I'm happy to be a part of it. Like this is what I wanted. So started like with Prime. That evolved into doing other shows. So I was also doing shows for Pro Wrestling Zenith, which was kind of like a sister company, and just filming for them as well. And over the course of time, I'm investing in additional hardware.
Yeah.
So going from 1 camera to 2 cameras. And I've been quite lucky that because like these cameras that I've got, they're not cheap. They're really, really not cheap. And that's deliberate. I didn't want to just go out and get like a £300 4K camera from like Argos or something like that. I wanted to like properly invest like in the gear. And I've been incredibly fortunate that I'm with someone who is very, very supportive in what I do. And she helped me get my second camera from a mate of mine who I know from like my online gaming days, who had the exact same camera as me, as funny enough. And he wasn't using it. And he says, right, Robbie, I'm getting rid of this camera. You've got first dibs on this. So I was like, oh, Will, you are mint. Thank you so much. And then obviously with the help me partner as well, she, helped us out with that. got the second camera, and eventually a third camera, managed to get that. And like I say, I've taken great pride in the hardware that I'm invested in, because going back to like when I was watching wrestling from like years ago, where like the camera would be unsteady, the picture would be unclear, and that sort of thing. I was like, I want to do something better. Like, I want to bring something that other promoters can look at me and go, he's something different. He's bringing something different, and we can exploit that, I suppose. You know,
Well, use it. We can use it.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I've got like the three 4K cameras. I've invested like in microphones as well. I've even got a 12-foot crane. The thing's huge. It's heavy. But luckily it can be broken down. So it's easier to transport, but it is not easy when you've got like all this gear as well. So when it comes like to the production side, I've been mainly solo. But there's been a couple of times where I've worked with other people in various like different shows. Now, going with like wrestling in Newcastle, I've started off, they give me an opportunity as well to record like their shows. Start off solo, and I would just start off with like, you know, being ringside and have the crane being like the hard cam. And as I've got like the third camera, I kept saying to like Benji and Stevie, look, I've got the third camera here. Can we make use of it? You know, it'll add to the production. And eventually they managed to find someone else by the name of Leah who would do the second camera. And it just adds so much more professionalism to the production, because you can switch between the different like camera angles at the right times. One person can be like in one corner, I'll be in the other. And it just means that in the post-production, I've got that freedom to flip between the three different angles and get that perfect shot. It just makes my life so much easier as well. Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah.
Like I said, with that, you know, you're eliminating that. Oh, I've captured the back of the wrestler. Like I said, if you've got a camera on either side, as soon as you know, if you've got the back of the wrestler, bosh, just switch it to the other camera, bam, on the face kind of thing, or you get that action spot.
Yeah.
I know, again, obviously, I'm not at your level, but I think it was like last year I was doing reels for Tidal, and they were sending me like all the match footage from two cameras. And I was having to sit there and I was kind of splicing it together to make like 90-second reels. But I loved having those two separate reels of footage and then just mix them in kind of thing, so it would flip around. As opposed to the reels that I do, but it's just on my phone. I'm just like, you know, it's just one angle. That's cool. It's something that I've gone down the rabbit hole with over the last year or so. But yeah, just sitting there and being able to switch between the angles, mate, that's awesome. I just love stuff like that. And then if you want to go full Michael Bay, you can always kind of like just have that one same moment over like two or three different angles, just like replayed itself. It's like poof, 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 poof. Like,
Yeah. The only thing missing from my production is the Michael Bay pyros. You know,
no, dude, you need to have a camera around the ring that's kind of like pointed up at that, so you can do like the spin around where it's pointing upwards.
I tell you what, I've actually like imagined that. I would love to have like some sort of like rig that would allow us to actually do like a full-on circle. Like potentially I could do something like that, but I couldn't do it live. Just simply because there's too many like people in the way.
Oh no.
In the way. And I do have like a gimbal that I could use like with my phone. So if I were to circle the ring myself, I would get like that nice shot. But as I say, during a live production, it's a little bit awkward to do something like that. And what I would love to do at some point is actually create sort of atmospheric shots of like wrestlers, the ring, the venue, stuff that doesn't actually happen live. I would love to be able to like use my gimbal to get those like kinds of shots. I just haven't had the opportunity to do that. I know there's a lad who I work with called Michael, of Heel Turn Media. He's done stuff like that, and I've worked alongside him, doing some like behind the scenes stuff and some interviews as well. So it's been a couple of things that he's recorded when we were doing shows for wrestling in Newcastle, where we were outside filming for like the audience, asking them questions when they came out. I'm the one behind the camera, and Michael's the one on the mic asking like the questions. So stuff like that, I just absolutely love doing.
Yeah. It's just, like I said, yeah, shout out to, I've followed them as well on socials, Heel Turn. Very, very cool. But obviously, yeah, the production that, you mentioned that spending the money on these cameras, the quality kind of thing, because that is, I've spent the last year and a half just totally hyping up wrestling in Newcastle. It wasn't just because of the ticket prices. I made a thing about that, like saying, oh, 10 a ticket, or, 4 for 30 quid. But it was the YouTube that got me into it. It was the quality of the shows that were on YouTube, just the high def, the filming,
Mhm.
capturing those moments. As a fan who wasn't able to get there in person, I was
Yeah.
so reliant on the shows obviously being put onto YouTube for
Mhm.
free, which is another reason of nothing but love for Win. Um, but yeah, like I said, they were probably some of the first shows that made me stand up and just be like, shit, man, this production is unreal.
Mhm.
So
That's been the plan since day one. I've wanted to be with a promotion or multiple promotions and bring like my sort of my expertise, I suppose, to them just to say, look, this is how I can present your product to the rest of the world. I know what I'm looking for. I know how to shoot, or at least I've got like a good idea. I've never studied to like how to be like a cameraman or anything like that. I've always wanted to do something like that. I know that there's courses out there, like you can go like to a college or a university to like do that sort of thing. I've never really done anything like that. I just haven't had the opportunity. So all I've used is just like me intuition, and looking back to like how WWE filmed their stuff, AEW, MLW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, that sort of thing. I'm taking
yeah,
inspiration from all these different feds and applying it like to my craft. Because, if you want to present something great, you've got to sort of like emulate or mimic the already greats.
yeah,
You take
it's got to look. If you want something to look professional, you've got to base it.
exactly.
Yeah, you've got to look like a professional company. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well with me having, a bit of a wrestling mind as well, having been in the ring, knowing what to expect and how moves are performed, the timing and that sort of thing,
yeah,
I feel I've got that advantage as well. And that's where I can bring that to the table. Where I feel as if like a person who's just like handed like a camera and they're just told, right, just go and shoot. They may not have like that background behind them. So I count myself very lucky that I've had like that life experience where I've been in the ring, I've been trained, and just being a lifelong wrestling fan, I know what to look for, I know what to shoot. Like for
yeah,
example, doing the classic Andre the Giant shot on Kemper. Like Kemper is a tall ass dude. He's class. So I'm literally got my camera down and I'm pointing up at him to make him look larger than life. I mean, the guy's already tall. He doesn't need to be put over even more. But I like to give it like
it
that
helps.
nice sprinkling, so to
Yeah,
speak. Just to put over, because these wrestlers, these guys, these lasses, they're larger than life. And I want to present them as these large than life characters, these superstars, these wrestlers, and just properly show them off. And what I love as well is when they are fully comfortable in being in front of the camera, because it makes my job easier, it makes Leah's job easier, and whoever else I'm working with, to capture those shots where like they are not afraid to look down that lens, and
yeah,
be. Here's a few examples: Adam Bolt, Melissa Fierce, Brady, Brady Phillips, Rampage Brown. like all like these larger than life superstars. It's great, and then when you get to film them being exactly who they are, it's just magic. It's class.
Obviously, yeah, you've mentioned probably most of my favorite people in British wrestling at the minute, like Brady, Phillips, Shreddy, Kemper, you know, Rampage being my all-time goat, and Adam Bolt just being one of the best in the country right now, kind of thing. But yeah, like so, if they give themselves, it allows you to capture that moment or capture the character on screen. And like I said, if they're willing to just give you everything, it just makes them look. Like I say, as a fan who's reliant on watching stuff on YouTube, cannot oversell the importance of influencing new fans, or what gets people watching a new promotion that they can't get to. It's these wrestlers looking larger than life, being captured correctly,
Yeah,
and being made. I think they're a star, even though I've never seen them in person. I get that. I get that magic. I get that feeling from just watching them. Like, man,
yeah.
these guys are amazing. I need to watch this again. I need to watch. I'm keeping my eyes peeled for the next show coming out. So I
Yeah.
need to see these people again.
Yeah, absolutely, completely agree. And here's the thing that Benji told me the other day, that on the YouTube channel, he's getting messages from people around the world who have actually been watching us. It's not just a thing that Stevie says when he's on the mic before the show saying, you've been seen all over the world. It's actually true. We've actually got a couple of people who have messaged Benji and said, like, thank you for uploading like these videos. And
Yeah,
especially because we weren't expecting away days to be uploaded, because unfortunately, Win did say that there were the shuttering, and away days hadn't been released yet. I was still in the process of finalizing everything. But then that got uploaded, and then Benji gets the message saying, thank you so much for uploading it. We didn't think that we're actually going to get to see it. So yeah, it's definitely like a worldwide thing. And no matter like how small the audience might be, it's nice in the knowledge knowing that like your footage is getting out there and someone else on a different continent is watching your stuff. It's amazing. It gives us a buzz, really, knowing that like I'm doing this, I'm putting in all this hard graft, and then other people are watching it and enjoying it. They love the presentation, the production values. I mean, I have to give props to the likes of Stevie Aaron, and Dan, Benji again, for helping me produce what they are wanting. They've got like a very specific style and a presentation that they're after, and I can kind of resonate with them as well because they're old school wrestling fans, and I am as well. Watching wrestling during like the early '90s all the way up to like the Attitude Era, that sort of thing. I know what it is that they're after. So it's always good to bring that to them and say, okay, this is what I've done. Have them review the footage, and then come back to us and say like, yeah, that's pretty cool, or maybe we can make like some adjustments here or there. There's been a couple of times where they've been like, nah, let's not do that. Let's do it this way, and I'm like, yeah, that's fair enough. It can be hard work. There's times where like I've spent all night long editing like these shows. I've been up to like 3, maybe sometimes 4 o'clock in the morning, editing like these shows because I want to get it done, and I'm passionate about what I do.
yeah,
Yeah, like I do that as well for the likes of like Prime and what was known as Pro Wrestling Zenith is now Slam Heroes. I want to like put together, shows for them and just get it all edited and pass them off like to like the Chris, and then he does like his stuff, and then he'll eventually get them uploaded at some point. I know he's got plans like for like for Prime and Slam Heroes. So, but yeah, it's fun to do. It's challenging, but rewarding at the same time.
yeah. That's it, because you've got that visual thing. You've got sense of accomplishment at the end of it, where you like sort of said, man, you're up till like 3 o'clock, but then you sit there, and like I said, it gets uploaded onto YouTube, and it's not like you said, it's a worldwide thing. I know it blows my mind. I try not to get bogged down with like the numbers, otherwise I'm going to send myself loopy kind of thing, like views and everything like that. But the on the podcasting side of things through Spotify, there's an analytic, and there's like how many countries have listened, or how many countries has this been listened in. I think at the minute I'm calling it 55, and it's like that's mind blowing. Even if they've only listened to 5 seconds, and it pops up, I'm like, I don't care. Somebody in 55 countries has listened to at least 5 seconds of an episode of something that I've done, and it's just it's crazy.
Yeah, because it just opens up, your eyes a little bit more to that there is other people out there who are listening like to your stuff. They're taking the time to at least like open up an app, see your podcast, click on it, and then give it a little listen. Even like you see, if it's only 5-10 seconds, that's their time taken up. And during like those seconds, they'll decide whether they want to like keep listening or not. But it's just
they might have just wanted to listen to the Pulverized song, and then once that's finished, they turn it off. I don't know. It's good for Pulverized. It's my way of saying thank you to them for allowing me to use their song. But if that's the case, then 55 countries have heard Pulverized. I can take some pleasure in that.
I mean, like I've listened and watched like a couple of your stuff as well. I'll just sit there and just like put YouTube on, have you on, and I'm being introduced to new wrestlers as well, people that I've never heard of before, and that helps me get more knowledge of like the other wrestlers who are out there who are just starting up. So it's always great listening to like stuff like that and watching stuff like that where you can just expand your knowledge through like podcasts like such as yourself.
Yeah, so that's obviously the goal kind of thing. But I'm not even talking when, we've mentioned, Brady, Phillips, Adam Bolt. Again, anybody who knows what the left side knows of our love for Adam. I can only imagine being a photographer, somebody behind the camera, getting to capture that entrance, because there must be certain wrestlers who you kind of look forward to, that the entrance, just when they come through the curtain, whether I think Miles Kamen, somebody's once told me that Miles Kamen was great to be on the other side of the camera because his pace, he takes like 2 minutes to get to the ring, like Scott Oberman kind of thing. But from a visual aspect, it's gold. You can just stand there and you just capture it kind of thing. I just imagine Adam Bolt being one of those guys as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Like most wrestlers, like today, like they tend to work the crowd. They'll focus like their energies like on the crowd, which is absolutely fine. But then you do get like those special characters, those guys and gals who will actually stare down that lens and then show off themselves like to you. So like again, Adam is one of those people. And the thing is as well, right, is that I'll admit I haven't had the opportunity to actually talk to Adam a lot, if at all, before a show. Because before the shows, I'm setting up my gear, making sure that everything's like correct, color calibration and that sort of thing, making sure everything's safe, everything's ready to go. So I'm very busy, and I kind of hate that where like I'm focusing like on. I mean, I'm doing my job, but like I don't get a lot of time to actually speak to a lot of the talents before a show, which is because I want to get to know them more. So with Adam, I've never really had like a full-on conversation with him, and like I really, really regret that. But as soon as he comes out that curtain, you'll look around, you'll survey everything, badger the crowd a little bit, and then you'll just like lock eyes with you, stare right down that lens, and then you'll just start doing this thing. Like I can't do like an Adam Bolt. I don't have the physique for Adam Bolt or anything like that, so I can't do it. But he knows his stuff. He knows how to work the crowd, work the camera, work the mic. And he's just an absolute joy to film.
Yeah,
You know,
I just imagine like so just visually, like say the guys. I was going to ask that, like if you get a chance to speak to people, because again, I think that's kind of goes into the making of a show kind of thing. I kind of wonder, if anybody comes up to you, like, look, I'm planning to do this bit in the match. Can you just make sure that, or if they just 100% trust you to be, or I suppose if you've got multiple cameras, they don't really run the risk of missing it. But for me, I'd be kind of like, look, mate, I'm planning on hitting this bit here. This is going to be my money shot. You know, just let you know there would be a good place to be, to capture it kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. To be honest, I haven't really had like that many wrestlers come up to me asking for that, saying like, where you're going to be positions, or I've got this planned, or that sort of thing. It's usually been me who will go up to them first, especially if I haven't really taught them. I'll like introduce myself, just say like, I'm Robbie, I'm the cameraman, I'm working alongside such and such. I'm going to be here, they're going to be over there. Is there anything that you guys have got planned? And there's been a couple of times where they've done like, the suicide dive, like to the outside. I've been, cautious of that, making sure that I'm in the right position to capture that. And then there'll be like, for example, in Slam Heroes, when I've been speaking to Chris Decker, he would say that, right, I've got this spot planned, such and such is going to happen. I'm going to climb underneath the ring. Just keep an eye out for us, like for getting out onto like the other side. And then now that I know what he's got planned, I can then plan that in my own head and then get the right shot when I see where he is, and then I can zoom in slowly on him and then get the bigger picture of the face completely unaware of where the heel is, and then there's Decker from behind, bash, and you get the shot. So, like I say, you don't really get like that many people, if any, coming up to me saying that I'm going to go and do this. I'm not too sure why that is. I don't know if it's just because they don't know who I am. Because
it's trust, man. They trust you, man. That's what it is. We'll put it down to that. They know you'll capture it. You know what you're doing.
Well, that's what I'm hoping as well. I mean, like with 3 cameras as well. Hopefully, I do, or we, because a lot of the time it's not just a one-person job. I've been thankful for when I've been working like with Leah at Wrestling in Newcastle, where she's captured shots where I've somehow missed, and she's managed to capture it. Working with Chris when I've done a couple of shows with Burnley Pro Wrestling, he's managed to capture some of the stuff that I've missed. And I've also worked with Robbie Parker for True Grit Wrestling. And Robbie seems to have quite a bit of knowledge behind him. He's kind of like me as well. He knows what to look out for. And I'm pretty sure he's been doing this like for some time now, so he knows exactly what he's doing. And I always like to try and speak to him whenever I can, either if there's any like other work going on or trying to pick his brains. I would love to have more conversations with Robbie.
Yeah, obviously, where I'm based, True Grit being my sort of local promotion. I've seen Robbie's work. Robbie's like, top notch. The video packages, obviously the production value on True Grit. It's obviously not on YouTube. It's on Triller, which is why I didn't make the comparison before, kind of thing. But Robbie's awesome what he does. They True Grit leveled up when they brought him on board. So that's how good he is.
Aye, absolutely. I've seen some like their stuff that they put out like on YouTube as like previews and like Facebook and that sort of thing. It looks class, and I suppose as a fan as well, it's like I want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of that production, because I had a taste of it, for one of like their shows, and like I would love to be a part of it again. But I know that from what I understand that James will probably have like his own team, the promoter. He'll trust like those certain people to film for him, and you can't just sort of like knock on the door and say like, "Here's a job." Do you know what I mean?
That's the thing about wrestling as well. Obviously, I presume, it's like not clicky, not in a bad way, but like what said is it's the same with the talent, that promoters use and everything like that. everybody's kind of got their, anybody who knows what they're doing has kind of over the last 12 months or 24 months has built up a team. And that's not just of wrestlers, it's people who do the socials, people who do, like you say, the photography, people who do the filming. So it must be hard, like sort of said, to just kind of get your foot in the door, or kind of just, you don't want to step on anybody else's toes, but obviously you want to be involved. So yeah, it's kind of, I can imagine it being a bit gnarly.
It can be, yeah. Like there's times where I keep thinking to myself, I would love to be a part of this, or try and help out with that. I suppose what makes it a little bit difficult for me as well is that some of like these promotions are a little bit far out there from like the northeast, like True Grit, like Burnley. So sometimes I have to like rely on others like to like get me to like those promotions. Hopefully that's going to change like within the next year. Especially because like I've got a little one as well, and I need to look after her as well and take her out and that sort of thing. So, things are hopefully going to change like this year. But like I say, when it comes to like filming for like others, that has been a bit difficult because of that. Me not being able to like get to like these promotions as easily as I would like, and it's exactly like what you say as well. It's hard to get your foot in the door because one, you don't want to be stepping on other people's toes. I've been like that since like day one, especially when I first worked with Prime. I was speaking to a lad called Liam, who was their videographer, and I went up to him first and I says like, okay, where are you going to be? What are you looking for? Because I don't want to be in your way. And I'm like that with other photographers as well. So again, working like with Michael at Heel Turn, I've asked him where you're going to be, blah 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 blah, and he's like, "I'll work around you." I'm like, "Are you sure?" Like, yeah, because you're the videographer, like you're capturing everything. He can at least like move around and pick a spot and get a shot from there. Same with David from Near Dark Photography. I've asked him where you're going to be. I don't want to be stepping on your toes. Same with Carl Gack as well, who was the photographer for wrestling in Newcastle as well. I've always wanted to work with these people and not step on toes. And if I'm working like with any other videographers, like for example, I've also worked with ICW. I did one show for them when they were in Newcastle about 2 years ago, and they were filming at the Northumbria University for YICW. And I was speaking to the camera operator. I feel bad now, I've forgotten the guy's name, but it's been a while since I've worked there. But I say to him, okay, where are you going to be? Is there anything that you want me to do? Shall I stay out the way of like certain shots? This, that, and the other. All because I want to be respectful, I want to be professional, and not get in the way of other people who have been there before me. I want to show that I'm a team player. I'm willing to listen to instructions, follow them, and do the best that I can. Whether that's speaking to other camera operators, speaking to like Alistair on the headset, that sort of thing.
That's it, man. The key word there, though, what you sort of said was professional. Like I said, you want to turn up, you want to do the job. That's you want to build that reputation of being like, if we need somebody, man, we get Robbie and kind of thing, and we get RockSolid Media in. They're professional. They get the job done. No hassle. That's a good rep to have.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, that's what I wanted to build up for myself. Because this is something that I would love to take a little bit further. I don't want it to be just like a little like side hustle, something that is just done as like a hobby. Because I suppose at the moment it kind of is. It is just like a hobby, but I would love to make this something more. I want to take it to the next level. And you mentioned about like the likes of like True Grit and everyone else having like their own teams. I would love to do something like that as well. I even had like a brief conversation like with Michael and Leah about potentially forming something together. But nothing's like came of it. It was just like just a discussion that I had at that time because I just thought, why not just ask about it? But this is something that I
It's not going to do.
really, sorry?
Okay, it's not going to do any harm. You can have
Yeah,
the conversation, can't you?
absolutely. But this is something that I want to take to the next level because, again, going back to investing in the hardware, not only have I got like the 3 cameras, I've got 3 transmitters now, like wireless transmitters. Because I would love to be able to have someone work with us who could do live edits as we're filming a show. That would help with the production costs. Sorry, just the production in general. It'll just make it so much easier, much more streamlined, and it would help with me when it comes to editing the shows post production. Where if those edits are already there, I can make minor adjustments rather than just having to sit through all the footage again and then cut to like every single angle that I feel is necessary when half the job has already been done.
Yeah, because I'd say that gives you the option then, like to put stuff out live. If people can see that, the wrestling promotions that are on Trello or broadcaster shows live on Patreon on the YouTube or stuff like that.
Yeah,
That is there's more and more promotions starting to do that, and it's just good to. Yeah, I kind of I don't know how all that kind of side works. I just imagine somebody sat with various monitors and just kind of like cutting from camera to camera to camera, obviously live
yeah,
to make sure, I'm kind of getting that old school WWE production van kind of thing where people are just sat there sliding things up and down or pushing buttons and clicking from this camera to that camera. Hopefully, not going full Kevin Dunn, and
Kevin
giving
Dunn.
somebody an epileptic fit. Like, oh my god.
Yeah,
Yeah, don't ever do that. Oh mate, you're talking about old school wrestling. I was like, please don't ever go full Kevin Dunn. Nobody should ever go full Kevin Dunn.
no, certainly not. And I've promised myself as well I would never go full Kevin Dunn. I'm, when I've seen myself record some of the shows, like I maybe have like moved the camera maybe a little bit too quick. Because did you ever see that clip of I think it was Seth Rollins? He's whacking someone with a chair, and the camera guy who stood with him is like proper giving it the big one by bringing the camera up and down, up and down. And I'm like, you know what it is? You could probably capture all that with probably the same intensity if you just took a step back a little bit and just not literally follow the chair, But I know that's Kevin Dunn's style.
Yeah,
Not really a fan. Like his style seemed, in my opinion, got worse as time got on.
yeah.
Because he must have been given like instructions from Vince to say, right, I want this shot like a Hollywood blockbuster, pal. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to be like that. I want to present it in a way that the viewer can follow easily and not give them like seasickness at the same time. Do you know what I mean?
I'm just getting clips from that episode of The Simpsons when I watch that anime cartoon or something. And just sat on the floor convulsing, just having like some sort of fit.
Yeah, you got to remember that episode. It's been a while since I've seen that.
But yeah, like I said, old school Kevin Dunn. Yeah, but I think they kind of went OTT. Like sort of said, I think brought I mentioned Michael Bay again. I've mentioned him twice in an episode. I'm gonna hate myself for saying that name, but yeah, it's that kind of high octane summer blockbuster popcorn. Just like, oh, dude, no, focus on one spot and just be, just keep doing what you're doing at the minute, mate. It's awesome. Like I say, I would have been bigging it up otherwise.
Mm-hmm. No, I do appreciate that. Going back to like having like a buzz of like doing the stuff that I do when I get feedback like from such as yourself with stuff like that, it makes everything worthwhile. It reminds us of like why I'm doing this, and just how much I enjoy doing it, no matter how challenging it might be, because it's not an easy thing to do. Since I've started doing this sort of thing, I've gained such a huge respect to the backstage production teams of like other feds, because they're the ones who bring the product to our eyeballs through TV, through YouTube, Instagram, and that sort of thing. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be enjoying what we actually enjoy now,
Yeah.
And I want to be in a position at some point to be able to do that as well. Record that footage, get it up there, and then promote who it is that I'm working with. I've enjoyed promoting like work with like everyone who I've worked with. So Prime, Zenith, Slam Heroes, Wrestling in Newcastle, Burnley, True Grit, ICW. You know, if
That's a
I can
good CV, man.
I will.
That's an awesome CV though as well. Like I say, you're just reeling off. You're not reeling off like really good promotions there with really good talent. But you talk about recording shows. Have you ever thought about again? I'm just kind of randomly. I know like I say, I mentioned him earlier, Scott Oberman, about his entrance and stuff. I know he's got a guy who he just uses like Ant the editor, and they go off and they record like promos and things like that, or they'll just do this, that, and the other. I don't know if that is that something that would be kind of appealing. If you could kind of partner up with, I don't know, like an Adam Bolt or somebody, and you're their promo guy. You just go off and film these crazy promos or these crazy 2-minute videos to tell a story.
Yeah, that's another thing that I would love to do because it expands on what I'm actually doing. As well as keeping it within wrestling, I'm not just like filming live. I would love to be able to actually do like some promo work, find a location to record these wrestlers in and have them cut promos. Just to bring that little bit extra like flair to the show of you could have like Adam Bolt behind like a really classy looking like backdrop, and then you've got someone like Kempa or Isaac North in a very dark disturbing looking background and have them cut like the filthiest meatiest promo at you, and
Yeah.
I would love to be able to do something like that. Honestly, it's a dream, and I've seen Michael do something like that in the past with like a couple of like his clients and whatnot. He's done it with Shreddy, and he did it with Gunnar Rig as well. I think Gunnar was the first person he actually managed to do like a behind the scenes sort of package, help him get over and whatnot. That's the sort of thing I would love to be able to do. I just need the opportunity and someone willing to want to do that.
Dude, because that's the kind of stuff. It's obviously as great as doing the shows is. You can get a bit more creative with that kind of stuff. Like you sort of said, you mentioned there, like Isaac North or Kemper. Not to be cliched, but just something really dark. Like cemetery, much like an abandoned building, or somewhere that's just derelict. And then you just got them stuck there, like even just pacing backwards and forwards, or getting into the camera, stepping back, bit of smoke, bit of very music, stuff like that. Just like, oh my god, it just amplifies the character. Whatever storyline they're in at the time, it would just be like, oh, dude, goosebumps.
Yeah, completely agree. Because when you have like those sort of characters who are larger than life, it just brings something special. And I think when you can turn that character up to like 11, you can get something special out of them. Like I'll love Brady Phillips like for just being like this sleazy, snidey, cocky, but he does it so well. He
Yeah.
really does it so well. And then you've got like Isaac North, who is one of the scariest MFers out there. Kempa is just like tall as, and then going back to like other like guys that have like shot like Shreddy, he's just a superstar. Him like he looks the part, and he can talk as well. And then you've got like other guys such as again going back to the Chris Decker, you know Tommy Zane, not Tommy Zane. He got off and got in a second. He's got to hate us for this. He's really he's this.
Tommy Freeman.
Tommy Freeman, thank you so much. Tommy, I'm so sorry. I'll get you that footage. You'll get that.
That's blackmail right there.
It's so cool to be able to like the film these guys, and I would love to be able to like film more backstage stuff. Even have it like presented like the old school late 80s promos that would be shown like on WWE. Like as a show is happening, sorry, not show, like as a match is happening, just have like a little pop up in the top corner with like Tommy Freeman, giving it a good old face interview, And then Chrissy Decker saying that I'm going to take that title away from you, and I'm also juicy and that sort of thing. It'll be brilliant.
And it would stand out as well. It'd be like, so it'd be something I'd be like, oh, like I said, uh, old school fans would be like, nice, you know, they'll get the nostalgia, they'll get the member berries. But the new fans will be like, oh, this is a bit different. Not seen this before. It'll be memorable. It's like, you know, as much as wrestlers want to be memorable, you guys making the moments, capturing the moments, yeah, you know, you've got to do stuff to make it memorable for us fans as well. And that gets us asking then, who did this? Like I said, I know you guys, I try and shout out you guys when I do the reels for Win, just you know, to guys. But the fact that I know who the production company is, you know, I know who the people, I know who filmed it, because that matters. And you know, the quality of what you did or the moments you made me ask that question: who did this?
Yeah. And then when you've put that stuff out and like you've attached like my name to it, that's always been appreciated, because you know that puts more eyeballs on me. Whoever wants to take the time to ask who made this, and then you've put it there, RockSolid Media. You know that really does help me out, and I'm very appreciative of whoever takes my footage and then just at least credits me to say, right, this was filmed or edited or something like that by RockSolid Media. It goes a long way. And I'm the same as well. Like if I'm wanting to use someone else's footage, I'm like, right, this is who's in this footage. I'm going to tag them because it's only right to do so, especially if it's not your stuff. You know, you put like their name on there to get eyeballs on them. You know, if you help, if everyone helps each other, you can only grow bigger. Exactly. Climb the ladder. Climb the ladder.
I mean, we mentioned obviously. I can't. Anybody knows me knows I'm a massive. As much as I love wrestling, I'm equally as much a movie nerd kind of thing. You know, I've watched way too many films. I've probably watched more than your average human being ever should. So I like to think that I've kind of got a little bit of knowledge. You know, I like to. I know when something's shot right or when something's shot bad or good angles and things like that. Which is why I think, you know, yourself, you kind of jumped out at me. Other production companies have jumped out. So I'm like, it looks professional, you know, and I like to say that I'm speaking from experience as a fan. And but I was kind of think like, somebody have gave me a camera, you know, like, yeah, you know, would years of watching film come in use, or is it just kind of like, is it something you mentioned before about like courses and stuff like that? I don't. For me though, it's not something that can be taught because everybody's different. Everybody wants to capture different things, or you know, there's no set blueprint for this. It's just being in the moment or kind of trusting your instinct.
Absolutely. You're right that everyone's different, and you can't just sort of like have someone sat down in front of like a textbook and say like, right, this is how you film, and then it just comes out as if like you've just made a production for the Avengers or something like that. It doesn't work like that. Again, I'm self-taught, and I don't know. I know I should be putting myself over by saying I am a professional. You know, and I appreciate that. Just like in my mind, I don't see myself that way because, like the wrestlers, you never fully stop learning.
Yes.
You know, from the day that you first step into that ring, you're constantly learning. Up until like your very last match, you're constantly learning new things. The same can be said for videography. Like when I first started with Shield, I just sort of like I winged it and just set myself right. Follow the action. Try not to miss anything. Don't zoom into like too much and that's and whatnot. So it just went from there. And every time I did a show, I learned something new, and I made mistakes along the way. There was one show that I did where one of my settings was set to where it was just too dark and there wasn't enough lighting surrounding the ring. So a lot of times there was a lot of dark corners, and the picture itself kept going in and out of focus, and just the iris itself and whatnot just wasn't open as much to like let all that light in. And then at the end of the show, you watch the footage back, and I'm like, oh, this is terrible. What did I do wrong? So you make sure not to make that same mistake again. And luckily, the next show, everything was, you know, more acceptable. but you learn as you go on. You learn more about like color correction, white balance, and I'm not perfect at it. I'll be the first one to admit. I'm constantly making sure that things look okay because something could be off. Like one setting for one show might not work for like another show, all because of the lighting.
Yeah.
Exactly. The environment that you're in. You could have like an open window on one of the shows where it just all of a sudden lets like a bunch of sunlight in, and it just completely wrecks your exposure and the coloring and that sort of thing. So it's always an ongoing experience. Yeah, you're constantly learning, and I never want to sort of like rest on my laurels and say like, yeah, I've got this sorted out. No, I don't. No, I
No,
don't. I'm
no.
continuously learning, and I want to learn. That's the thing.
No, mate, that's a perfect mindset as well. Like I said, it's whether it's wrestlers or like you say, film and stuff like that. I like to think that I'm always trying to think of new ways when I'm doing this, or if I'm editing reels to try and hype promotions up or hype talent up, kind of thing. I'm always trying to tweak it a little bit, or fine tune it, or make it better. Nothing's ever perfect, so there's always room for improvement. And if you're willing to learn, you're always going to be. I don't know. I might be at like 80% now. At some point, I might get to 99%. Then I'll be at 99.1%, 99.2%. It's never going to hit that 100, but you should always be striving to get it close as possible.
Yeah, completely. Like the one thing I'm wanting to try and do more, is do more Instagram stuff. Try and get like the footage out there. It's hard, like from my end, because one of the things I've always said to everyone that I've worked with is that I will never release the footage until you give me the okay. Because I think I need to have like that sort of loyalty to just to say like, right, I've recorded the show and now I'm just gonna like do anything with it. As much as I would like to, it would help
Yeah.
build my brand a little bit more. When it comes to like Prime Slam Heroes Wrestling in Newcastle, I've always went to the owners first if I want to use some footage, or if like a wrestler wants to watch their match back. I will say I'm going to clear it with the owners first before I do anything with it.
Yeah.
But what I would love to be able to do, if like how you're saying like you're making reels and whatnot, I want to be able to do that as well. Because I know that's not easy. Like you've essentially got to work in a 9:16 screen
Yeah.
rather than a 16:9. Now I'm used to working in a widescreen format, not that way.
I see. I've only just started doing that way. Beforehand, I used to kind of like do the widescreen and just have like the show poster behind it. So the kind
Uh,
of match was in the middle. If you look back through my profile, it looks like reels from like 2 or 3 months ago. The show poster used to be behind it with the footage kind of in the middle kind of thing. And it was widescreen. But I've just started messing about with, like I said, doing the 9:16 and just making it so it's like literally you look like you're there.
yeah, it fills
But
out
it's more of
the
a tease. It's more of a tease. I'm trying to do it now so you don't get to see everything. You just get to see enough to make you want to go to the YouTube channel to watch the show, to watch the match. I'm trying to tap into that movie experience and make a trailer.
Yeah, no, I know exactly where you're coming from with that, like especially with the tease. 'Cause like you say, it does sort of like make the viewer, okay, what's this about actually? Jump into like the main channel, see the other like the content that you've got there, and it's what drives numbers up. Yeah, but yeah, I still want to like dabble in the 9:16 stuff because I see what Michael does like with his, and it is pretty cool. Like, I mean, sometimes some stuff can look a little bit too cinematic, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Um, but I do appreciate like what Michael does, and other content creators where they put it in like that format and that sort of style. Um, I just want to try and put like my own spin on it. What
Yeah.
that spin is exactly, because again, I usually dabble in the live recordings and then put a show together. It's a completely different beast when it comes to like social media, Instagram, that sort of thing. But hey, like I say, I'm still willing to learn. I want to learn.
That's it. That's it. Yeah, I mess about with it. Like I just do it for fun because it gives me an excuse to watch a match, and then I get to sit there and watch it again. and try and cut bits here and there kind of thing and think what's going to stop the scroll. That's the phrase that I've read recently that kind of stuck with me. I was like, you want to stop the scroll? That's the key word. But yeah, talking of heel turn media kind of thing. For me, he's kind of like the master of the slow mo at the minute. A lot of stuff that I sort of see.
He's like
it's a John Woo of British wrestling at the moment.
Yeah. Aye. It's
all... Oh, sorry, dude.
No, you go ahead, mate.
I was going to say, because I saw something he did recently with he shouted out George Hunter, which is obviously I get to see a lot of. He's a guy that I love, just watching doing things. I can only guess from somebody behind a video camera that that dude is just, if you're going to get a chance to record a George Hunter match, it's going to be like, right, okay, there's got to be lots of good moments in this to capture.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm honest, and there's no disrespect to the fella, I had no idea who he was until I saw him at the Great North Rumble. And then he came in and then started doing his stuff, and I was like, okay, I'm liking this fella. He's, with the limited time that he had, with it being like a Rumble match, he made the most out of it. He really did. And yeah, I like his stuff, and I was looking forward to seeing more of him if Win were going to bring him back. Obviously that's not going to happen with Win, but who knows? I might be able to get to see him on other shows and have the privilege of being able to watch his stuff and record it at the same time and then get that out there.
Well, George Hunter versus Chris Decker or something like that, Prime or Tommy, or that would just be like, I think, like I say, Hilton just kind of deemed it as being like, he's a photographer, he's a video, I can't even say the word, he's a videographer's, I can't really drive off, wet dream basically, he's the kind of guy that you kind of capture and be like, right, okay, I know I'm going to get lots of cool stuff, especially when you're doing the slow-mo and, like say, if you want to go for that cinematic approach, it will click.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, with my sort of style, I tend to present it as it was rather than try to slap something on top of it.
Yeah.
I mean, again, there's nothing wrong with that because if you can do it well, more power to you, mate, because you're doing something better than what I'm doing. So.
But I think that's more of the social media. That's what I said. That's more for the Instagram. That's more for the 90 seconds. That's just, as I said, to stop the scroll. If you're for what you're doing at the moment, which again, doing it really well, is you're recording shows, you're producing shows. You get that production on there and making a show look $1 million kind of thing, and getting eyes to watch it on YouTube or whatever platform they want to put it out on, whether it's on Thriller, Patreon, YouTube. You're putting together a total package. It's not a snip. It's not a taste. It's not a tease. This is like a 5-course meal.
Yeah, you're right about that, especially with how long some these shows can be. I mean, the longest one that we did, I think, was for a Grand Slam, for Win, and it was 2.5 hours. And I know that doesn't sound like a lot by wrestling shows standards these days, but when you're editing it, you're putting it all together, and it's just you doing it. It takes up a lot of your time because I don't know how other editors do it. I would love to get some tips and pointers from other people as well on how they edit their shows. But the way that I do it is that I'm essentially watching the show back maybe 2 or 3 times. Yep. And making sure that I haven't missed anything substantial. Making sure I've went over like the graphics, the names, because it's been a few times where Stevie Aaron's brought us up on me misspelling his name or spelling someone else's name wrong. And this is what happens as well when you are up until about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. You're passionate about what you want to do, but you start getting so tired where you do start making these little mistakes, and you've got to really push yourself away from your gear and say, right, get yourself to bed, start again tomorrow.
Play ahead.
Yeah, exactly. You get the brain fog, and you miss these things. So I watch these shows probably about 2 or 3 times, just to make sure that everything is correct before I send it away. And even then, I'll ask whoever I'm doing it for, watch over this footage, see if there's anything that you can spot, and just let us know. and I'll go back to it and I'll make that amendment.
That's it. Like you sort of said, a 2.5 hour show doesn't seem that much, but times that by three, that's 7.5 hours worth of footage to sort of go through, to watch, to rewatch, to kind of try and snip together. Be like, oh, does that actually quite work? That would look better with that angle there. So you're having to rewatch it again. So it's probably tallying up for about 10 hours, like sort of said, over and watching stuff over and over again, watching the same moment five times from different angles, and be like, that. It's a massive jigsaw.
Yeah, it really is. Like you're talking about like a massive jigsaw, like with all the like the camera cuts, the graphics, and then happen to create like other videos for like recaps or something that's happened like a replay, all that sort of stuff. And then once you've finally finished the video product, what we've been doing is that we outsource like the comms to others. So you've got like Dave Bradshaw and Stan Kellett, Dan, doing the commentary. So once they've recorded their stuff, they've sent that to me. I then have to watch the program, having to watch the event again with like their comms on and making sure that everything aligns up. Because sometimes they do it like in takes. The last show that they did, they actually managed to do it all in one go, and that made my life a little bit easier. So yeah, so you can just like drop it in, make a few trims here or there, and just make sure that everything like lines up. So but it is hard work. It is very hard work. Like I said earlier, it's very rewarding. And then when you see what you've completed at the end of it, you do get a buzz. And like last year, me and my mates, we went down to London to watch Forbidden Door. And the night before, I say to the lads, do you want to watch Settle the Score? Like what I've just what I've just made. And they were like, yeah, let's stick it on. And my three mates, Craig, Mark, and Keith, they were like, this is mint. Yes. This is like something as if like they were just sitting down to watch WWE or AEW, just without like the fancy lights. But one of the matches that they commented on, which was amazing, which is my personal favorite, Rampage Brown versus Henry Faust. Yeah. Absolutely phenomenal match. It's one of my favorites that Win have ever put out. And I'll still watch it to this day and go, amazing. Just absolutely brilliant by the pair of them. And I mean, mates, they loved it as well. They absolutely loved it. And then when you get that feedback from them, that just makes it worth it. Yeah. Barry Horowitz, yeah.
David, mate, I've just got the time. Sorry, dude. I thought I'll keep you for about an hour. I've realised that we've just kind of been gone way over now. Dude, I think I'll leave it on that note. But we can always come back for part 2 down the road if you ever fancy it. We can talk about obviously we've kind of put stuff out into the universe in this episode, planted a few seeds, hopefully, see what happens. In 6 months' time or 12 months' time, we can talk, and you can be like, mate, I've been putting these amazing promos with X, Y, and Z, and I'm like, yes, that's happening. Dude, thank you so much, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure.
No, I've really enjoyed talking to you, and thank you for the opportunity. So what I say to everyone else, thank you so much for the opportunity.
No, mate. Like I say, anything we can do to, like I say, it's a wrestling show is a machine with many, many, many parts, and every part is vital. So I think everything needs talking about. Everything needs. And a lot of people are curious as to the inner workings, of a show. So, mate, like I said, you guys are key. If you can't get to a show, it's the guys that film it for me that you're the heroes, because I can't get there in person. I'm relying on you to capture the moments for me to watch. And when that's done right, mate, it's an absolute game changer. So
yeah, I absolutely appreciate like everything that everyone else in this industry does, like to bring that product to someone who can't make it to the shows. It's a joy to be a part of. It really is. I appreciate it so much. And I could talk about this sort of thing like for hours on end. I know we don't have much time left, but I would love to come back on again at some point if you'll have us. and
Hey,
I would
of
love
course, yeah.
more stories to you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I didn't even really get a chance to ask like what your top five matches and things. Obviously, you mentioned Henry Fast and Rampage, but I know you've witnessed dozens and dozens of quality matches. Like Rampage Brown versus Nathan Cruz.
Yeah.
Guys like that. It's just me. So yeah, we'll definitely do a part two. We'll definitely probably. I'll just pick your brain a bit more next time on just matches that you see as a fan as well, and obviously just everything like that. So, well, yeah, we'll get that scheduled in for down the road. But if you want to let people know where they can find RockSolid Media on Instagram.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I do like my socials. I do have a Facebook page as well, but admittedly, I don't really keep that up to date. I need to get back onto that. So, like, my main place, like, for socials is RockSolid Media on Instagram.
Obviously, my boy Ash will tag you in when they post tomorrow that the episode has been uploaded. If you're not following Rock Solid, obviously, please do hit that follow button. Go check out the footage that's on there, see what they've been doing, shows they've been to. If you like the look of what you see, go check out that promotion. Go check out that talent. That's what we're all trying to do. Everybody's hyping up the scene as a whole. British wrestling is amazing. Go watch it. Go support it. Obviously, you know who we are. It's nothing really left for me to say, but thank you for watching. Hit like, subscribe, share, comment, all the generic stuff we ask you to do on every episode. Keep your eyes peeled. I've mentioned a few times in this episode about being a massive movie nerd. We're kind of doing a spin-off episodes coming up where it's Work the Left Side at the Movies. The first one is going to be myself and Adam Bolt talking about the Scream films. And then we've got me and Joe Sedgwick talking about the awesomeness that is Jean-Claude Van Damme. And then many other people coming on, many wrestlers coming on just to talk to me about films. So, yeah, and obviously I've got guests coming up as well. So, yeah, keep your eyes peeled for announcements. Dude, again, thank you.
Thank you so much for having us on there, Nick. And for Joe Sedgwick as well, I hope you talk about Jean-Claude Van Damme and Street Fighter, please.
It's the last film over the last week. I've watched about 15 Jean-Claude Van Damme films I didn't even know existed. I loved him back in the day, but I don't think I've ever watched anything past about 2000. So I've been watching all. It's upsetting because the dude's old now, and I'm watching like some of his newer films. And I'm like, oh, he looks old. I'm upset. It's at that age where he dies in the films now. It's like, yeah, it's the old guy, he's trying to do right and then sacrifices himself at the end. So I'm like, oh man. But Street Fighter is going to be the last film that I watch to complete the Van Damme journey.
I want to watch that. I really do. I look forward to seeing it.
Hey, thank you so much. And obviously, yeah, everybody else, thank you for watching. And remember, always work the left side. Goodbye.